Hey you, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad that you're here today for a visit because we're looking at something kind of special. Recently we've taken the time to kind of cover a lot of the Micromasters in all of their glory, and most recently I looked at the Six Builder Combiner for the Autobots, made up of 6 construction vehicles. Well, this is one of those cases where the Decepticons decided to respond in kind by releasing their own Decepticon Six Builder, which in this case got repainted yet again and was released on individually carded offerings during the 2003 Universe line. That would make it part of the Unicron trilogy. So as such, I guess we could say that this is the Unicron trilogy's version of the mighty Devastator? Stick around, we're gonna cover how devastator-y this guy is in the latest GotBot True review. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. Please like, comment, share, and of course, subscribe. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and me everywhere. And a lot of things have been done with the Micromasters to make them interesting. They have been released in groups of 4. They've been released as bases. They've been released as transports. And now we see that they were released indeed as combiners. And there were several of them released, and we're going to kind of see them very quickly as we go. In fact, we've already seen one where I went into great detail about the transformation and the alt modes, and you can see it there. I'm going to kind of streamline things and not necessarily look at the transformations here. Just sort of compare the figures to Six Builder as well as to Devastator, since this guy claims to be Devastator. You see, here's what happened. The 6 teams came out, and I believe all of them were Autobots. And one of them, because it was made up of construction vehicles, ended up getting repainted into the Decepticon Six Builder. Well, over here in North America, we already had characters that fans were familiar with. The famous Constructicons. So the Decepticon Six Builder was repainted yet again, and some of the characters renamed yet again into this, which evidently is Devastator. Now, because of the time it came out, I believe it counts as the Unicron trilogy iteration of Devastator. An interesting take for sure. As far as other 6 combiner teams went, some of them got repainted and renamed into teams that we kind of know and love. Maybe we'll talk about that a little later on, but for now, I think it's important that we see kind of who's who and what's what with this guy and assess just how good of a Devastator he's able to be. So without any further ado, let's head over to the table and take a closer look at this dude. And as is often the case with the Micromasters, the Decepticons had a response for the Autobot Six Builder team. Yes, Six Builder. The build team of Autobots were 6 construction vehicles that went together to make Six Builder. And indeed, in 2003, we saw the release of the Decepticon Six Builder, which was basically a repaint of the Autobot team in colors reminiscent of Devastator, though the green was a deeper green and there wasn't quite as much purple as you would probably expect from a Devastator. And that team, 1 year later in 2004, well, late 2003, 2004, was also released as individually carded figures in North America as part of the Universe line, which in 2003 meant that the Micromaster Devastator was actually part of the Unicron trilogy. So you had the Autobot Six Builder, who got repainted into Decepticon Six Builder, who got repainted into what we have right here, technically a part of the Unicron trilogy. I kid you not, it is Devastator. Well, we're going to see just how devastatory this Devastator actually is. Now, that being said, while these guys have kind of been rechristened as the Devastator of the Unicron trilogy, I suppose you could say, we're going to see just exactly how they relate to Six Builder, what they were known as in Japan, and kind of how they relate to their Devastator counterparts. So we might as well jump right in. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not showing all of the conversions because we've already seen them for these guys in the Six Builder video, and they're the exact same conversions because these are just repaints. And we're going to start off with the legs. The first leg for the Autobot Six Builder team was known as Treader. And Treader, naturally being a dump truck, got repainted to become Long Haul. And Long Haul holds true for whether we're talking about Decepticon Six Builder or we're talking about the, I guess, Unicron trilogy Devastator. And this is what he looks like as a dump truck. We're going to show him with the Combiner Wars Long Haul. And as you can see, when we're talking about the Micromasters compared to the actual dude, they're quite small. Let's have a look at him in robot mode. And here he is in robot mode. Now, like I said, I'm not showing the conversion here. I already showed this guy's transformation in the Six Builder video, but you can see just how reminiscent he is or is not of Long Haul. And of course, Long Haul normally makes the lower torso of Devastator. In this case, he's going to make a leg. And of course, here he is with the Combiner Wars Long Haul in robot mode. Now, obviously, it's no point in kind of showing them in their combined mode compared because one's a leg, one's a torso, but you get the idea of how this is gonna go. We'll see him later on when he's all combined up in both figures. Moving on to the next character, and I think we'll jump to the other leg. That only seems to make sense, does it not? And now we move on, as I said, to the other leg, and it was made up of the Autobot mixing, and of course that makes sense since it's a cement mixer. And here's where things get interesting. In Japan, this was the only one of the group to kind of officially be given a name, and he was given the name of Mixmaster for the Decepticon Six Builder. But when he was released as an individually carded figure in that 2003 Universe Unicron trilogy line, he was given the name of Quickmix, even though he was still considered a Constructicon. I know it's weird. Here they are, of course, in their vehicle modes. This guy rolls just fine. Let's see him in their robot modes. And here we have the robot modes, and I don't care what you say. This guy looks an awful lot like Mixmaster to me. Of course, we're going to compare him with his Combiner Wars counterpart. Admittedly, the Combiner Wars counterpart doesn't quite look like a cement mixer, which is why I didn't compare the vehicle mode, but we can compare the robot mode, man. And here's the robot mode compared. Like I said, we're talking about one is like the regular run-of-the-mill cement mixer that we all know. This guy, the Combiner Wars guy, is actually an industrial-sized cement mixer. It's a bit of a different thing that I didn't even know was a real type of truck until I kind of researched it at the time with this dude. Naturally, the Micromasters, as you'd expect, are quite diminutive. Again, this is a case where the articulation is a little bit limited because the lower legs are one piece. Just like with the dump truck lad, the lower legs are just one piece. You know, this is a very early example of kind of giving up individual features of the figure for the combined mode. On to character number 3. And things continue to get interesting with our next iteration. Naturally, the Autobot is Grand Arm. I know, that's a weird name in and of itself. And Grand Arm was named in Japan, as you might well expect, Scrapper. Because, you know, he's the front end loader. It is what it is. I do find that this repaint is not quite as good because the windows on the tractor mode don't really show up because they're not painted like they are on the Autobot version. That being said, in North America, where he was released under the Devastator banner, he got yet another name change. Instead of being Scrapper, as you might well expect him to be, he got renamed into Buckethead, which I guess is fine and all. In this case, he does not make the other leg of Devastator. He will actually make the chest. Let's look at the robot mode. And here all three are. Whether you want to use the name Grand Arm, Scrapper, or Buckethead, whatever, they're all a bunch of front-end loaders. that's how they look. Obviously the Combiner Wars one much bigger. And here we have the robot modes. You know, he kind of is Scrapper-esque, I suppose. Like I can see it. Again, the articulation is quite limited. But in this case, like I said, he was not actually Scrapper, he was Buckethead. Nevertheless, it only seems fitting to compare him to Scrapper. And here are all three, of course, in robot mode. Now, in this case, instead of becoming a leg, I may have already mentioned this, he is going to become the upper body of Devastator, kind of, the chest at least. It's a bit weird, I admit. But yeah, there you go. And so we go into the fourth member of the team now, and this member actually becomes an arm for Six Builder, or Decepticon Six Builder, or Devastator if you will, and their kind of full-size counterpart becomes an arm. The Autobot was named Digger. Real creative name there. In Japan, as part of Decepticon Six Builder, he is best known as Scavenger. I don't know, I guess it fits. Nevertheless, since he is the analog, the go-to for Scavenger, it only makes sense to compare him to Scavenger. And here you see all three. Now, that being said, the Combiner Wars iteration of this excavator vehicle isn't a truck. It is, of course, a tractor, just as he should be. Here we have the robot modes, and it would be real easy to confuse this guy with Hook. Whether we want to call him Scavenger or not, he's not. Like, he looks more like Hook. Like, he does not put me in the mind at all of Scavenger. It's only that the name was assigned to him because of the, like, I guess, bucket of his tractor mode, I suppose. Nevertheless, since he is their kind of stand-in for Scavenger, we will compare him to the Combiner Wars version. For what it's worth, here is the comparative robot mode. It doesn't really look anything alike. Now, that being said, both of these guys are arms. I'm not going to show the alt mode for arm here now. We'll see all of that when we get the huge combine mode and the little combine mode put together. And now we get to the second to last member. It was Iron Lift. Now, anybody who really knows the original knows that neither of these guys look like the original Iron Lift, who was mostly white, but this, of course, was the 2003 repaint, which, of course, got repainted into the Constructicon looking guy here, who was named, not Hook like you would think. No, he was named Gren. I have no idea why. Not a clue. It was he who became known as Hightower in North America. Call him what you like, I'm going to call him Hook. Just saying, because he looks like Hook. I mean, there's absolutely no denying that this is where the relationship comes in. Let's look at the robot modes. And here we have the robot mode. What can I say? Maybe a little bit too much green for Hook, but I mean, it is what it is. Again, I showed the conversion and the articulation and stuff when I looked at the Six Builder Combiner. So if you kind of want those details, they're in there. But I mean, this guy is pretty typical. You know, the arms can move a bit. He can get in a seated position. The lower legs are two separate pieces in this case. None of them are exactly a standout. Nevertheless, here we have Digger, the Autobot Digger, and the Decepticon Hightower compared to the Combiner Wars Hook. And here's the comparison. The only one missing is the Decepticon Six Builder iteration of this guy known as Gren. G-R-E-N. By the way, before anybody says, are you saying Gren or Gran? It's G-R-E-N. There you go. Probably the most convoluted of all of these characters. Who knew that a Hook crane truck could be so harsh? In this case, for the Micromasters, he makes an arm, of course, with Combiner Wars, and traditionally he's the upper body of Devastator himself, and that leaves us with but one individual bot. And now we come to the end of the individual bots. And it's been kind of a tumultuous run through a lot of difficult names. Now, in terms of the Autobot Six Builder, this is Crush Bull. And Crush Bull is really the recognized leader of the group. With the Decepticon Six Builder, he was known as you might well expect, Bonecrusher, who was still, I believe, the presumed leader of the group. In North America, he was still thankfully known as Bonecrusher. So here's a case where He was called Bonecrusher sort of across the board. And speaking of Bonecrusher, here he is with the Combiner Wars Bonecrusher. And this is a real simple case of he's an arm, the official bigger Bonecrusher is an arm. This makes perfect sense, other than I don't think Bonecrusher has ever before been the leader of the group. I don't know, it's fine. This is perhaps one of, if not the truest to the source material character that we've come across yet. At least the accuracy holds true in terms of vehicle mode. In robot mode, well, it's a little bit of a departure from the traditional robot look that we have here with Combiner Wars. Nevertheless, at least it's Bonecrusher. And a Bonecrusher by any other name is just as, I don't know, crushing, I suppose. Now, before we get to Combine mode, we should point out that Six Builder and Decepticon Six Builder, or in this case Devastator, comes with a world of add-on parts. The head, the upper torso, the lower torso, his blaster, his feet, his hands, all of its add-on parts, but it can go together to make this cool little like flying contraption thing. The feet are out on the side, they're connected to the hands are connected to the main torso, the head is turned around so that you can't see the face. The upper torso is connected to the lower torso, and kind of in between his knees is where the blaster goes to sort of make like a jet piece. I showed taking all of this apart and what the different pieces were when we looked at Six Builder, so I'm not necessarily going to do it here. But what I will say is this. The extra pieces on Combiner Wars Devastator cannot go together to make a sort of flying vehicle in this fashion. This is a neat little extra play feature, kind of exclusive to the Micromasters, whichever group you have. And here we have the combined mode of Unicron Trilogy Devastator. Unicron Trilogy Micromaster Devastator. Or, if you will, Decepticon Six Builder, who is based on the Autobot Six Builder. You know, I guess he's cute, I suppose. The entire waist down, there's absolutely no articulation, none at all whatsoever. The pelvis and thighs are just a hollow piece. There's no knee. I guess you could turn the feet a little bit if you wanted. The head, it can go left and right. The arms can go all the way around and can swing out. It's a little bit precarious. They might pop off, but you just pop them back on over. It's not a big deal. No elbows. I mean, it's... To call this Devastator is a bit of a push, but I get where they were coming from. I mean, they've done the kind of Autobot iteration, who was this guy. And they said, hey, we have a bunch of construction vehicles. We could repaint them purple and green, and they could be the Decepticon team. And then the North American counterpart looked at that Decepticon team and said, hey, if we make that a little more purple and make that deep green a little bit of a pale green, we could call it Devastator, and people will go, hey, that looks like Devastator. And they'd be right, it kind of does. Exact same head sculpt, exact same chest, exact same pelvis and thighs, exact same everything, just repainted. That being said, how does Decepticon Six Builder or the Universe 2003 a la Unicron Trilogy Devastator compare with the actual real Combiner Wars Devastator? He looks like this. And here we have that comparison. Look, here's the thing. Whether you use an unofficial version of Devastator or a third-party version, I don't know, Green Giant or the NBK version or Generation Toys version or Toy World's Constructor or whatever you want to call it, any version of Devastator, including the Combiner Wars one here, it tends to be larger and imposing and has a presence because it's Devastator. It's the really quintessential original Decepticon combiner, and he should have a stature and presence. This repaint, I get what they were going for, but it's kinda lackluster to call it Devastator. Yes, it's neat for what it is, and I would kind of prefer it called Decepticon Six Builder, because let's be realistic, sometimes a Devastator by any other name just isn't the same. Overall score for this Devastator, 3. It's not a good Devastator. But overall score for him as the Decepticon Six Builder, I don't know, 7 I guess. It's kind of interesting, kind of cool, and even though the posability is lacking, at least when you take them apart, even the pieces that are parts forming go together to give us some sort of like flying ship, I don't know, battleship drone thing. And I can respect that. So like I said, as a Devastator, it's lackluster. As a Decepticon Micromaster Combiner, it's pretty cool. And here we are once again, and I think you know by now that this is a sad excuse for Devastator. I mean, it's cool that they found a way to incorporate, I guess, the combiner workings into Micromasters. That's neat, even if the articulation is highly limited. Yes, the arms, they can go, you know, around, kind of, sort of. They can go out. It's not the most secure thing in the world. The head goes left and right. If you wiggle it too much, it'll come out. The body doesn't move. I mean, all of this back here is just opened up pieces. Here's one of the 6 members that makes his, I don't know, his butt and his back, I guess, I suppose. I don't know, it's a weird placement. You know, yeah, it's weird. It's weird, man. I get it. The colors and the fact that these are construction vehicles certainly make them easy to lend themselves to being Devastator. Even the way that this chest piece is shaped. But when we compare it to the actual Devastator, this guy kind of comes off as like, you know, his toddler, you know, or his little brother, or something like that. Do I think that it is a good homage to the character of Devastator? No, not really. It's a sad excuse for that. Do I think that it's cool to be a version of a Decepticon 6-team Micromaster Combiner? Yeah, totally. And I'm cool with this guy simply being called Decepticon Six Builder. In fact, that's what I would probably call him if I actually owned this guy. I do think he has the distinction of being the only Decepticon 6 Micromaster Combiner. We'll kind of double check that as we go, but for now, let me know what you think about this little guy. Do you like him? Do you not like him? Do you like parts? You know, maybe his arms are great figures to you. Maybe the legs, not so much. You know, I'd love to hear from you guys. As always, I'm going to say, please hit that subscribe button, help me out, and I very much look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit right here inside the videos.